When I had become a young man, I felt that I was ready to direct my own course through it all, and eventually made the plunge into the heart of the city to be embroiled in its relentless motion and impaled on its bedrock of desire. I was always enamored of the subways, of the rhythm of steel grinding against steel, of the scream of tormented metal as its reverberations echoed off the damp inner walls of the tunnels. The clamoring, clanking subway roaring through long, slender tubes beneath the city produced howling sounds of such intensity that it was reminiscent of boyhood dreams of hell. The comings and goings of humanity in and out of those subway cars, the apparently inexhaustible chain of individuals representing almost every sovereignty on the planet, every conceivable lifestyle, every age, every persuasion, was itself a kind of initiation into the most wondrous and preposterous city on earth. I would often ride astride the space between adjoining cars of a subway train with one leg on each side bathing in the muted light of the fluorescent lamps as the train sped into the darkness. I had a special fondness for the D train as it made its express run from Columbus Circle to Harlem. The white ceramic tiled stations appeared only briefly as the train sped by them, as if they were stills in a movie. The hollowed out earth that was the home of the subway knew neither sunshine nor greenery. Passengers became like the living dead, moving methodically on their journey through the underworld. I often stood looking out the front window of the very first car in the train, peering into the very heart of darkness, as I was encapsulated in a long metallic worm threading its way through the city. It was a kind of barely contained madness. In the subway, we were all subservient to the vagaries and vicissitudes of the underground. Subway platforms were forums for the impromptu and irrepressible convening of humanity. At the West Fort Street station, the gateway to Greenwich Village, a remarkable potpourri of types promenaded on their way to the streets above. There were gloriously dressed transvestites with every particle of clothing meticulously in place. Black jacketed studs with big buckles and garrison belts, picking their teeth with cobras, and post-pubescent girls with precocious bosoms. There were heavy-hearted winos leaning desperately for support against the station pillars, young adolescents terrifying defunct vending machines, and everywhere the couples hopelessly and deliciously lost in the throes of their own private erotic journey. All this transpiring simultaneously, choreographed by the interplay of time and humanity, all of this periodically interrupted by the clamoring trains. Manhattan is a fever of contradictions. In the pulsing stream ride the many nations and its many peoples. Italian, Irish, Haitian, Jew, Arab, Black, Chinese, Hindustani, Swedish, French, Hispanic, German, Greek, Jamaican, Peruvian, Russian, Ukrainian, and many other representatives of nations from around the world. From the mixing of these many cultures there does indeed come violence, but also compassion, shadow, but also light, pain, but also joy. There is death, but also birth. There is hunger, but also vitality. There is desperation, but also hope. Humanity is the heart of New York. It is the collective heartbeat of all these exotic souls that is the very rhythm of the city, It is ever present on street corners, on the rooftops, in the underground. The power of life is through its expression, and it is through this energy that the city lives. I walk the streets of the city like a traveler from the distant stars, noting every nuance of the human's thirst for survival, for pleasure, for reverence, for glory, and for meaning. Humans seem to be beleaguered by the complexity of their inner life, the images of self and others, and the summation of the infinitely diverse interpretations of the singular events and circumstances of a lifetime. There are many nomads in the city, many homeless, many hanging precariously to life. There are many young, vital males with nothing to do but endure the relentless passing of time. While the vitality roars in their bodies, these men decay from within, from the ravages of the restless engine of inertia. The parks, the Christian missions, and ultimately the prisons await them. There are many who walk the city inescapably mad and tormented by the fire burning constantly in their brains. There are many who walk the streets with a running dialogue being carried on by the myriad personalities trapped within a singular consciousness. These individuals are particularly prone to perilous ends, for they are completely devoid of even the barest remnants of survival programming. So engrossed are they within their own divinations. Uptown women at the very pinnacle of fashion, hailing cabs in the driving rain. Junkies nodding out over a cup of coffee at Bigford's. Employees on lunch break causing thousands of hot dogs to disappear from a Nedick's restaurant in less than an hour. A drunk pissing on a statue opposite Macy's. 5 young black boys with nothing but a rope at their disposal demolishing what was left of a burnt-out tenement with consummate speed and skill. Young gay men cruising with an almost mocking grace on a hot summer afternoon in Central Park. A family speaking French on a bus nearing Lincoln Center. Old Italian men in white suits playing bocce. A gaggle of old and widowed Jewish women lined up on a park bench like chickens, roosting on a fallen log, exchanging stories regarding their dead husbands or inconsiderate children, or comparing the severity of their operations. Queues of young professionals outside the Broadway theaters on a Saturday night. The neon half-light of Times Square with the atmosphere of frenzied commerce permeating the very concrete. Yellow cabs maneuvering like crazed hornets along 6th Avenue, picking up harried professionals on their way to their appointments. Pedestrians move in great hordes through the narrow valleys of steel and glass. They meander through traffic as if they are forging a treacherous river. New Yorkers are walkers. Walking is an essential part of survival in the city. At the end of the working day, thousands upon thousands of employees empty out of their cubicles onto Fifth Avenue. They move about collectively like an indefatigable army of bugler ants. The rhythm of human endeavor is relentless in the city that never sleeps. Every hour of the day or night there is a parade of humanity that endures all manner of weather and calamity, whether natural or otherwise. In contrast to all this chaotic movement, Wall Street on a Sunday afternoon projects a ghost-like quality, with the wind blowing the refuge through silent and deserted thoroughfares. Even though nature has been severely circumscribed, it still manages to assert its presence. The sharply delineated gray of winter with low and voluminous clouds enshroud the great skyscrapers and suggest a world beyond the lure of commercial appetite. Savage winter storms evoke a respect for the natural world in spite of all the worldly distractions. These are some of the images that enveloped my senses and catapulted me into a dreamlike state, bound up in an ever-changing fabric of the human kind, infinitely diverse yet somehow monolithic, ever-moving yet changeless, an immense population of individuals that share a commonality of their genes, the architecture of their brains, and the form of their bodies. Humans are the chimera of a protracted past, an instantaneous present, and an uncertain future. The city stands as a crystalline mirror to that humanity, revealing all its convoluted facets, its monumental incoherence, and shimmering vitality.